Welcome to the Breaking Bread podcast. I'm Rachel Parker, your guide to making gluten-free bread that has everyone coming back for more. In this episode, we're diving into the world of gluten-free bread baking for summer. There's just something about that aroma of fresh bread wafting through the kitchen, a sentiment that doesn't take a back seat just because we're avoiding gluten. So let's roll up our sleeves, dig in, and immerse ourselves in the art and science of gluten-free bread making. First things first, the foundation of any good gluten-free bread is the flour blend. Getting the right mix is pivotal for achieving that perfect texture. A combo of rice flours, potato starch, and sorghum flour often does the trick. The puzzle here is finding that sweet spot, the right balance to mimic the properties of wheat flour without a speck of gluten. An insider secret? Try adding psyllium husk to your flour blend. It's this natural binder that helps create that elastic texture you might think is exclusive to gluten-filled bread. Start with about 5% of the total flour weight, and from there, go ahead and adjust accordingly. Now, with the summer heat ramping up, things can get a bit tricky. Increased humidity can make that dough feel like sticky sand, a nightmare to work with. The fix? You might need to cut back on the liquid in your recipe or top up the flour a bit. It's the small tweaks, 5-10 grams here and there, until you nail the right consistency, that make the whole difference. And don't forget about proofing times in warmer weather. Gluten-free doughs can overproof pretty quickly, and no one wants a collapsed loaf. A good rule of thumb is to aim for a 50% increase in size, rather than a total doubling, like with traditional wheat bread. Now comes the fun part. Let's put these tips to work with a great recipe for gluten-free rosemary focaccia, a crowd-pleasing favorite for summer gatherings. I'll run through it quickly, but we'll post the full recipe in the show notes. You'll need your gluten-free all-purpose flour blend, psyllium husk powder, instant yeast, salt, olive oil, warm water, and of course some fresh rosemary and a little extra oil for that topping. The end result? Heavenly focaccia that's crispy on the outside, soft on the inside, and brimming with Mediterranean flavors. Just picture dipping it in some olive oil or using it as a base for summer sandwiches. Yum! Before we wrap up, we've got to give some props to Bob's Red Mill for their excellent range of gluten-free flours. Their 1-to-1 baking flour is a godsend for bread making, and even includes xanthan gum, a must for great gluten-free bread texture. Plus, they have an array of individual flours like rice flour, sorghum flour, and potato starch, perfect for crafting your custom blends. If you're new to this, remember that gluten-free bread baking is as much about art as it is about science. It's okay if your first few attempts wouldn't win a bake-off. Persistence is key here. Embrace experimentation and the value of taking notes. And as a parting tip, invest in a good digital kitchen scale. It's a game changer. Measuring by weight kicks measuring in cups to the curb. That wraps up today's bread-filled adventure. Here's hoping you're now pumped to fire up that oven and try some gluten-free bread baking this summer. If you've got questions or want to share your baking triumphs or lessons learned, we're all friends here. Find us on our social media channels. For more episodes of the Breaking Bread podcast, check out the links in the show notes. And as always, I want to thank our partners at Bob's Red Mill. Their devotion to quality ingredients makes all our gluten-free baking adventures not just achievable, but downright delicious. Happy baking, everyone! Until next time, keep baking, keep experimenting, and keep breaking bread.